why thousands of Republicans are leaving the party. Now, the way they make it sound like, oh my God, it's very Democratic friendly. It's like they're making it seem like, oh, the Republicans are leaving the leaving the Republican Party to become Democrats, because that's the automatic assumption that your mind makes when they write this way. But let's take a look and see where they're actually going. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. In the days after the January 6th attack on the Capitol, the phone lines and websites of local election officials across the country were jumping. Tens of thousands of Republicans were calling or logging on to switch their party affiliations. In California, more than 33,000 registered Republicans left the party during the 3 weeks after the Washington riot. In Pennsylvania, more than 12,000 voters left the GOP in the past month. And more than 10,000 Republicans changed their registration in Arizona. Oh my goodness, where are they going? They're making it sound like they're all going to go to the Democratic Party, but let's really see. An analysis of January voting records by the New York Times found that nearly 140,000 Republicans had quit the party in 25 states that had readily available data. 19 states do not have registration by party. Voting experts said that the data indicated a stronger than usual flight from a political party after a presidential election, as well as the potential start of a damaging period for the GOP's registration as voters recoil from the Capitol violence and its fallout. It's so funny that they're talking about this recoil, but they're not punishing any of them. Okay. Somebody's in jail with vegan food. That doesn't sound like punishment. Okay. An analysis of January voting records. Yes, blah, blah, blah. Among those who recently left the party are Juan Nunez, with a Z, 56, an Army veteran in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. He said he had long felt that the difference between the United States and many other countries was that the campaign season fighting ended on Election Day, when all sides would peacefully accept the result. The January 6th riot changed that, he said. What happened in D.C. that day broke my heart. Mr. Nunez said, a lifelong Republican who is preparing to register as an independent. It shook me to my core, he said. So they're not leaving the Republican Party to become Democrats. They're leaving to become independents. And I wonder who will run under the independent party in the next presidential election. I'm just curious. I also find it interesting that Mr. Nunez, an obvious Hispanic, obvious man of Hispanic descent. His name is Nunez. Okay. And a man with an obvious Hispanic descent, he wasn't upset when he saw the Republicans putting his own people in cages. No. No. That's not what upset him. Not at all. It was what happened in D.C. that day that broke his heart. Gotcha. So you want me to care, but Mr. Nunez don't care. Mr. Nunez don't care about the kids being separated from their mamas. Mr. Nunez don't care about them being put in cages. Mr. Nunez don't care. So why should I care? The biggest spike, especially because I've done a video on this. Why should I care when our children aren't crying because they're being separated from their parents? They're crying because their parents are being shot in front of them. The biggest spike in Republicans leaving the party came days after January 6th, especially in California, where there were 1,020 Republican changes on January 5th. And then 3,243 came on January 7th. In Arizona, there were 233 Republican changes in the first 5 days of January and 3,317 in the next week. Most of the Republicans in these states and others switched to an unaffiliated status. Excuse me. Yes. Okay. I'm just going to go down to the most important. I'm just going to read some important highlights, okay? It's a paragraph here. It's all by itself. It says, among Democrats, 79,000 have left the party since January. So as they're sitting there telling you how many Republicans have left the party, 79,000 Democrats have left the party as well. Okay. Okay. In North Carolina, the shift was immediately noticeable. The state experienced a notable surge in Republicans changing their party affiliation, 3,007 in the first week, and then after their riot, 2,850 the next week, and 2,120 the week after that. A consistent 650 or so Democrats changed their party affiliation each week. You see how they just snuck that in on the end? A consistent 650 or so Democrats have changed their party affiliation each week. They banging the part on the Republicans, but the Democrats is losing people too. Don't forget, because I made a video about this. Don't forget that the Democrats were bankrupt. The Democratic Party was bankrupt until George Floyd, until Black Lives Matter started receiving donations about George Floyd. Then all of a sudden, the Democratic was no longer broke. Okay, in Arizona, 10,174 Republicans have changed their party registration since the attack as a state party. Okay. Next important point, Mr. Nunez, the Army veteran in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I'm not done about talking about him. He said his disgust with the Capitol riot was compounded when the Republicans in Congress continued to push back on sending stimulus checks and staunchly opposed raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. The Republicans have always been against stuff like that. Like, so that's nothing new. So why is it all of a sudden now, like, that's their MO to be against things like that? Like, how were you a lifelong Republican and you ain't know that? Mr. Nunez, why were you actually a Republican? Because it doesn't seem like you know very much about the Republican Party. So what is it that you actually liked about them? Okay. They were so quick to bail out corporations, giving big companies money, but continue to fight over giving money to people in need. Mr. Nunez. Hello. Know your history. Oh my God. Said Mr. Nunez, who plans to change parties this week. Also, I'm a business owner. Oh, Mr. Nunez is a business owner. A business owner of clear Hispanic origin, who is a lifelong Republican, who turned a blind eye to his fellow countrymen being put in cages and children being separated from their parents and all that. He was fine with all that. But also, I'm a business owner and I cannot imagine living on $7 an hour. We have to be fair. You know, and I'm gonna make a point really quick about the minimum wage being increased. Why? First of all, you guys, people who think that them raising the minimum wage is actually going to do something, it's not. This country is not set up that way. And if you understand how the country is set up, you're supposed to get a better job. That's what's supposed to happen. You are not supposed to, they did not create McDonald's jobs or fast food jobs for you to raise a family of 4 on. That's not how this country is set up. If you are new to this country, let me inform you. That is not how this country is set up. This country is set up where that is an entry-level position, and then you work your way up. Now, whether you work your way up in McDonald's or you use that job to get you another job. Yo, when I was young, those McDonald's jobs were held by teenagers. The McDonald's jobs, the pizza delivery jobs, all those jobs, they were held by minors. That's why the minimum wage that's who would make minimum wage, a minor, somebody who's just making money to buy their little things or whatever, or even help out at home. It was not designed for a person with a family of 4 to raise a family on. So you think by raising the minimum wage that McDonald's is going to pay you $15 an hour? No, they're going to get rid of your job altogether and put a machine. Walmart is already talking about they're gonna take out checkers altogether. So as people are sitting here fighting for minimum wage to go up, they're just gonna eliminate the minimum wage jobs. Now your teenager ain't gonna have no little job, because like I said, when I was younger, the only adult working at McDonald's was the manager. That was the only adult working at McDonald's. Now we got people with 3 and 4 kids. That's not the way this country works. I'm sorry. And if you think that's going to happen, you're jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. People do not understand what they are asking for. All you are doing is helping them and ushering them to cancel out your job. They're just not going to hire you. Look at Amazon. Jeff Bezos considers himself to be Cuban, whether he is or not by blood. I guess that's his stepfather or something like that. He considers himself to be Cuban, but it's the Hispanic Americans that are trying to talk about. I see mad videos of Hispanic Americans talking about the unfair practices that Amazon creates. Whether that's true or untrue, I do not know. I ain't never worked for Amazon. But I'm going to tell you that there's a lot of it. There was a lot of Hispanics in there talking about it. So you think that you're going to sit there and force Jeff Bezos, who says he stands with y'all. You think Jeff Bezos is going to pay y'all $15 an hour if he don't have to? No, he's going to go to China and get a machine. And that's the end of my rant on that. Critics say the U.S. lists 71 foreign terrorist groups, but no white supremacist groups. Surprise, surprise. This article was Sign up for free text alerts. You can find the link in my bio or in the description.